actually have to enter a grade.
Monday.
I did it, I think.
So by the way, it was really funny that I saw my brother-in-law over break, the one who I brought you guys that problem about the accounting thing.
And you said we were
And
better than you.
he was like, dude, how do you teach? And I'm like, what do you mean? He said, they're constantly interrupting you and asking questions. I said, well, one, that's like a win. As a teacher, like when kids are asking questions, that's a win. But two, I said, how many? See what I mean?
What?
5 to 6.
Yeah, I haven't turned in chapter 5 homework.
Oh, I did that though. So
Yeah, I didn't chapter 5 homework.
better than you. Oh.
Wow.
At this point, I don't even care to see chapter 5.
Wait, you know
Chapter
what?
6 is what I care to see.
Oh.
Well, we're so far beyond chapter 5. I think I just like looked at, hey, did you all do it? And then I just said, okay.
And they lied.
I did it, and I did. I don't even think I did it. Okay? You gotta believe it.
Hey, you're being recorded saying that you did it, so if you're lying, that's on you.
I have the paper up.
Is that the Avengers? Did you watch No Way Home?
I did not yet.
Stop!
So no spoilers.
Spoilers!
Okay, so my brother-in-law was going on about how difficult it must be to teach this class, and I said, guess how many kids are in that class? He goes, I don't know, what's a full class of kids? And I said, there's only 3. And he's like, what? That's only 3 kids? I go, yeah, count the kids that come to the board. And he's like, well, I thought that was just the kids that wanted to come to the board. I was like, no, that's everybody.
Yeah, we're just the smart. We're just the like outgoing.
So wait,
Exactly.
I might have accidentally mislabeled this as chapter 5. I don't know.
You mislabeled
You
it.
listen to
or you
questions.
didn't
I have-
do chapter
Or I might have just not done chapter 6.
No, you did chapter 6. You talked about it.
I think you guys did a lot of them together. Like, started them here in class.
Yeah, I think. I don't know.
Here's what you should have for chapter 6.
Wait, should we have 6-1-1 at the back?
I kind
We skipped one of these.
I have no idea where my.
What does
I can't go to that anymore. It just stopped.
It's back.
Oh, it
They
is?
fixed it today.
Mr. Hudson, are we supposed to have 6-1-1 on the back or the front?
Whatever order you're in right now,
As
I'll deal
long
with
as they're
it.
in like a straight
I have
Yeah,
no
as
idea
long as
where
they're in
my
order.
chapter 6 things are.
Where is
Oh wait, I think I know. I might not have
I
taken it out of
ate
my
them.
notebook.
I'm your dog and I ate your homework.
Alright, so at a certain point, we should probably, like, do today's lesson.
Maybe.
So this was chapter 6. Right, radicals and fractional exponents, the tennis thing. Remember the whole big thing we did about tennis and how
That was too many triangles.
it really didn't make
Hey,
very
I
much.
found my homework.
There you go.
I just never took it out of my notebook.
Hey, I found my.
I've never thought about how many students this class sounds like, but it definitely sounds like more than 3.
Yeah, 12.
Is that a good thing or a bad thing?
I am 6.
It is what it is.
Akshaya is 2.
No, I'm sure it's like 10 people.
It's 4.
Actually, sometimes she's 0 people, because when we go to play a game, we can't count her and how many people we have.
No, wait, Akshaya's like sometimes 0 and sometimes like 30.
Alright, so while Jake is
Whenever we play a
finishing...
game, it's just these two exist.
Alright, Jake, we're going to bring it back in. While Jake is finishing getting that stuff together, or he can do that later, speaking of 3 things, let's talk about triangles. Oh, see what I did there?
3 triangles?
So, what are some uses of congruent triangles, how we've seen them so far?
Well, all their parts are the same, so that's pretty
So, like CPCTC?
Yeah, of course, but
Yeah.
Okay.
And you can make cool shapes with them.
You can
Triangle
make...
angle sum theorem.
Tessellations.
Jake is still totally in his world. Sorry, what did you say?
I said triangle angle sum theorem.
Ah, okay.
Why?
I thought you were still talking about your homework pile back there.
That's what I
Triangle, angle, sum theorem. So if we know a couple of the angles, we really know all 3. So Carla
Oh, look at that.
knows that a parallelogram has 2 pairs of parallel sides. Good for you, Carla.
Yeah, she's smart.
She has studied special properties of isosceles triangles
I'm so
and right triangles, and she wonders if parallelograms also have special properties.
They do have special properties. They probably at least have 4. One of them is that
Well, they have 2 sets of
So wait, we're
parallel
supposed to have up to 625, right?
I did 626.
Oh yeah, so did I actually. I just missed it because it's like
Yeah, I
in the middle
told you
of
guys to
625.
skip it, but a lot of you had done it
I
already.
didn't know, so I just did it. I didn't want
Wait,
to.
were we supposed to skip 626?
No, we
Yeah, but I think you did it
So what you're
before.
saying is I had done all the homework,
And
and then I looked at CPM. I was like, oh dang it, I missed a problem.
You know, there's these things where you can write down your homework
Nah.
and then refer to
I
it
haven't used my
later.
plan book since like September.
Dude, I haven't used
I
my
use
playbook.
it.
The new one's cool.
I have my own.
The new, I don't know if 8th grade is going to print them for you guys, but it's got like cool coloring pages in it. All right, so grab a sheet of graph paper.
Yep, I haven't used my plan book since mid-October.
Well, write less. I didn't say you wouldn't have to write anything today
Wait a
in
second.
class.
Yes, you did.
Yeah, we can roll back to
Roll back the footage.
Yeah.
No, you can roll it back and check it later.
You said you would give us print instead of writing.
Yes,
Implying
for the Theorem graphic organizer. I specifically said. Yeah, and I should be handing you a new blank one right now as we move into this chapter. But if we can quit complaining and get through what we need to get through, I will hand you one that's filled in. Otherwise, we can fill it in as part of our homework.
Oh, okay.
I don't like homework.
Neither do I. That's why I'm trying to focus, but you guys are trying to argue. What kind of triangle does Carla have right there?
Scaling.
Scaling, right? So draw a scaling on your paper, but I warn you, don't make it crazy because you're about to try to copy it.
Oh, okay. I'll make it really easy. Sorry, simple.
Like a 2, 4, whatever the hypotenuse is, or like a...
I'm making a 3, 4, 5 right now.
Ooh, but that's a right triangle.
But
I mean,
it's
that's
not
fine.
It's scaling.
It's fine, but actually
You're
that's
silly.
gonna make things too matchy for what we're trying to do.
Okay, then
So it would be better if your triangle was scaling and not right or isosceles or anything like that.
It's gonna be 3,
I don't
6.
think my triangle's anything special. It's kind of lame, honestly.
So then we're gonna take this triangle and
That's being a cute.
no. Acute would probably be easier to work with, but no, it doesn't have to be. Take that triangle, rotate it around on one of the side's midpoints to copy it and make a quadrilateral. So you're going to clone it, but rotate it 180 and drop it back on itself.
Oh god, that's gonna.
That's not that difficult.
No, but I know something like it is. Ooh.
F-E-W.
Wait, what do we need to do again?
So this triangle,
Okay.
let's say I'm going to keep my flat side flat, like my bottom, right? Because it's kind of flat with the horizon. And this, actually, I can cheat.
Because you can just duplicate it.
Should I just duplicate the original image too?
Yeah, but it wouldn't drop on itself, right? Because it would make the image a rectangle. Unless I tried real hard.
And like click it and stuff.
So, this was the angle that was 1.
Oh, yeah.
This was the angle that was 2. And this was dual arc.
I just did 1 or 2 or 3 or.
I need to run home and get plants from the Sega. Plants from the Sega. We want more plants for the family room, and I have
You know,
extra
it's
plants.
actual plans?
Yes, and no, not an actual Sega. It's the ones that Target sold that have like 40 games loaded on them. So it's not a
Does it
real.
have Sonic the Hot Dog?
It has Sonic the Hot Dog 1 and 2.
What is Sonic the Hot Dog?
Sonic the Hedgehog. Sonic and Tails. I feel like number 2 is way better than number 1 because it's 2-player.
There's a game called Sonic the Hot Dog?
No, it's Sonic the Hedgehog. Alright, can we stay focused?
Okay.
We got like 20 minutes left.
Sorry. I thought Sega
So,
was-
you brought up CPCTC, and since we cloned the first triangle, so we'll say since we cloned black to make blue, what else can we label here?
well, we know all the sides are.
We can do the reflexive property. Yeah, that will, yeah.
This
We
reflexive
don't need
to
to do
itself is
reflexive
obvious.
property even.
What?
Okay, so we can label all that.
No, actually, it's not.
Because we have
Itself.
CPTC, so.
CPCTC.
We are coming to you know?
Sometimes I just use that like, oh, this nothing works with it. It's probably CPCTC, and then it's right. Hey.
You guys are definitely coming off of Christmas break or winter break. I should say.
Yeah, you need to be politically correct, Mr. Hudson. It's totally not around Christmas time. That's mystical Wednesday.
I'm not religious, so it's just the time of the year everyone defaults to saying Christmas. It was my most wonderful time of the year when I worked a commission-based job and got money for the gifts that people were buying. People would come out and buy jewelry off me, and I was like, "Merry Christmas" to myself. You guys know what commission is, yes?
You get
You
paid
make a
for
percentage. You make a percentage of what you sell. So you come in and buy $1,000 bracelet for somebody for Christmas,
Cool.
and I just made,
Dang.
depending on what tier it was, anywhere from like 50 to 70, upwards of like $90, depending on. Yeah.
Do you also get a salary or just?
Yeah. You don't get paid much on, because it's not a salary. It's really an hourly pay that you get, but it's an hourly pay plus commission.
Is that hourly pay below minimum wage, or does it still have to be?
Shouldn't be for commission jobs, but they can really do whatever they want because you sign a contract based on it being a commission job. Typical positions are often under minimum wage because they're typical. All right. So, is this a parallelogram?
Yeah.
Oh well, yeah.
How do we know?
Because the opposite angles are congruent,
Ah.
and then the sides parallel. You can't really say that, but yeah.
Opposite angles are congruent.
Yeah.
And also, even if we didn't have all of those sides there, we know that with the transversal, cutting across whether we have the left and right side or the top and bottom side, since those alternate interior angles, right? We know parallel. All right, so we know they're parallel and they are a parallelogram. So, what are some if-thens that we could say to get to a parallelogram? Parallelogram?
If the opposite angles are congruent, then it's a parallelogram. If the I know there's another
I need
one.
random cards for you guys, and since I don't have them, we're going to do dice roll.
No, I
Dude, I
What?
love gambling. Woo!
Okay. Akshay, give us one.
Okay.
One
If
if-then.
If the opposite angles are congruent, then it is a parallelogram.
All right, if opposite angles are congruent, then it's parallelogram. Jake, give me another if with the then ending up as it's a parallelogram.
If it has two sets of parallel sides, it's a parallelogram.
Yeah, we already said that though. That's kind of a phone-in. And we actually didn't know that here until we used what Akshay said, so can you give me another one?
If it has supplementary same-side interior angles.
Ooh, same side supplementary. It's like adjacent.
Linear?
Adjacent supplementaries.
Isn't there one thing where two
Linear pair.
bisectors intersect? All of the intersected parts are the same. I have no idea. So like if you
I didn't draw a parallel.
make if you bisect it parallelogram twice, and where it intersects, all the other parts are congruent. I know that.
Huh?
I think. Pretty sure. I'm not
What did you
sure.
say? I'm sorry.
I don't know. She said it really fast. I'm really not sure.
Okay.
No, what did you
So
say?
if you can I go to the board?
I don't care. I never care. I don't know where the pen is. Well, there's one
So
there.
if you bisect it again, like right.
Hit a pen. Just touch a
That's
color.
not a pen.
Touch a color. It's broken. Touch. Okay.
If you do that, but
That
better.
could have been better.
Not even convoluted. huh?
No, that's not the right one. Like that, right? And then I have to go down. Okay.
I really wish you were doing this in a different color.
Now it's a
Okay.
parallelogram.
Then all of these are similar.
All of those are similar. So
Or-
we've created 4 similar triangles there.
No.
Wait, no.
I have no idea. Actually,
No, there's two. It's okay. That goes like that. There.
I'm confused.
Wait. It's something like that. I don't remember it.
Can you work
I
your
get
way
what
there?
you're saying.
So
I
back
understand.
away,
I
back
still
away from the
understand
triangles.
how-
So
No more triangles for you.
no, but, like you could have stayed up there, but backing away from the triangle that like where Akshay was trying to say they're all congruent, which is taking it a tad too far.
You've taken
If-
it too far.
So go ahead and draw the line. I'm gonna make it red. from here to here? Because why do we only have one of the diagonals there? Wouldn't this work the other way around if I had a triangle facing the other way? Well, so they shouldn't be right triangles if we made them scaling.
No, like my original two triangles were scaling, but now they're right.
Wait, what?
Wait, huh?
How are your original scaling, but now they're right? What
I
is
don't
a
know,
right angle?
but they were.
I don't see a right angle here.
Right there.
That's not a right angle. Can you prove it's a right angle? You're saying it looks like a right angle, but we don't know that it's a right angle.
Silly Connor.
No, like it is though.
It is.
So there is something pretty important for us to identify
Did
here.
you prove it, Connor?
Hold up. There's something pretty important to identify here. Is the red diagonal equal in length to the blue diagonal?
No.
Don't fall into the temptation to say
Unless
yes
it's a
when a
square.
teacher asks a question. Unless this is a square, or
Yeah.
A rhombus. No, that wouldn't work either.
square is too specific.
Rectangle, yeah.
Unless it's a rectangle, one of these diagonals is going to be longer than the other.
Wait, can you have a rectangle that's a parallelogram?
Yes.
All rectangles are parallelograms.
Silly Connor.
So,
So are all.
what are you looking up?
You just search up the definition of a parallelogram.
Fine, go ahead.
It's
No,
a
but then-
shape
no,
with
because, like,
two
it's
parallel-
just-
that's a parallel
No,
line.
like
So, this red line is gonna be longer than the blue line. But what it does do that Akshay was trying to get us to, it bisects.
Wait,
True.
my red line isn't longer than my blue line.
Well, it depends on how you've drawn the parallelogram, but one of them will be longer.
Okay.
Essentially, you could say outside corners versus getting from the
yeah,
inside
that's what I
corners.
was talking about. This. Yeah, I know, but still.
So, what Akshay said is true for two pairs of triangles. The triangle on the top and the triangle on the bottom
Yeah.
would be congruent to each other.
And so would the other two.
And so would the other two.
Those are some impeccable triangles.
So, what we now see is two congruent triangles, when put together, then create another two sets of congruent triangles. So, guys, we could use those little pieces and parts. Wait, there's something else we know here then. If we know that the triangle on top and bottom are equal to each other, and the triangle left and right are equal to each other, what else do we know?
Vertical angles.
Vertical angles theorem.
Yeah, there's.
The VAT, which I don't really like when we abbreviate that. It feels weird. The VAT.
Well, that.
I feel like we should just go ahead and talk
That
about
sounds like
that.
a Marvel prison.
So vertical angles, right? So if you draw the bisectors of a parallelogram, we now get congruent angles in the middle here.
Look at that.
Why are you looking at a textbook?
That's where I got that from.
Did I ever tell you that you were wrong?
No.
We're just trying to build this instead of give it to you. We're just trying to build it.
But still.
That looks like some sort of strange power cell.
You are correct. All right, moving on beyond the parallelogram. I think we already did all of this. We did all of this.
Marvel just.
All right,
posted
so
on
a height.
Oh, I saw that on here too.
All right, so now here's the tricky part. So we need to do this again with another scalene triangle. It might maybe be easier if we cheat and use some shapes templates.
But what if I want?
I'm so disappointed.
But what if I
You can
want?
do it freehand if you want. But if you would like to use a triangle from the shapes template, feel free.
Sure.
Or if you want to use a kite from the shapes template, feel free.
Dude, I'm so disappointed in this guy.
What? Me?
No.
Kip?
Yeah.
Why? Because he's
Because-
confused.
Because he's
Kite. Where is the kite? Oh, there it is. Right?
Well, okay, that's kind of offensive. Being
This is a
disappointed
kite,
in a man.
right?
That's a parallelogram.
That is a parallelogram.
I mean,
There might not be a kite on that one. I have different shapes
there
templates.
isn't one on mine.
I can't.
Yeah, so you're just going to have to use two scalene triangles.
Oh, but that's.
you're gonna have to learn how to use the template to make a kite. Maybe that's what this whole thing's about.
So, Kip, if we want to be disappointed in Kip, we could make kites later in the year. I like flying kites.
No.
Kip thought he did what he was supposed to do in that last problem with
Oh,
Carla.
that's a nice looking kite.
But he didn't. He's wrong.
But silly Kip copied down his congruent triangle by reflecting it instead of rotating it. Right? So if we had rotated this bottom triangle, you guys are just turned on today.
Wow, that's not very school appropriate.
No, oh, thanks for taking it there.
Shut up.
I mean, you will not stop talking. Like, you just won't, you're just on. There's no, where's the off switch?
Why is that
But
so
way to make it, okay. Because, I should have known since you're coming straight into Belo's class.
Yeah, we didn't actually talk about this. Well, actually, no, we did. Because the book was like, don't have to send out.
Okay. What do the kids say these days to say, like, somebody's wired?
Wired?
Do you not know that, like,
Wild?
no, wired, like
That's
wired up,
I'll
like,
just tell them you need to leave.
well, I'm not going to kick anyone out, but let's move on, and please, let's try to focus for a moment.
Extra.
Okay, y'all are being extra today. Bring it back to just slightly extra. I'm really worried that Akshay has paid for a textbook that she keeps turning around and this is all in the CPM book too.
But it's also on here.
Which book is that? Like a Pearson
Big
book?
ideas. That's what
Okay.
it's called.
Big
Great.
ideas.
Big idea.
Well, what do you want to have small?
So this would make a parallelogram. But Kip accidentally reflects and creates this shape, which we've all already identified
As
Is
That's
it
the
kite?
rhombus.
is the secret objective to my class, making kites. Now, Carla comes over and says, Kip, this is obviously not a parallelogram. And he wants to argue just because they're in 8th grade and want to argue with each other. But eventually Kip believes her that these are in fact not parallel sides.
Why is there something between U's on A? Like
It's because they took a screenshot, but that's the cursor that got captured in the screenshot by accident. You can find little things like that, like all over the world of like, oh, somebody just didn't like catch that in the proof, right? Like when you proofread stuff. So Kip is then a little discouraged, but says, I'm going to figure out the special things about this shape.
Yeah.
So he starts applying the CPCTC, right? Because that's one of the first things we did back in the parallelogram. What should I then label here if I'm going to start applying CPCTC? Sides, right? So he's already got the angles labeled. Let's go ahead and label congruent sides. So
this is the very start.
to itself, obviously, between the 1 and the 2,
Yeah, and then that one. Yeah.
and then between the 1 and the double arc. And then we would also know, kind of silly to say this, but the double arc is equal to the double arc, right? The single, just because if I just draw a kite, that might not be obvious. But so what could we say about this line?
It's a bisector.
Okay, so the line connecting the two. Let me make a better line. The line connecting two vertices bisects the angles. But what about this line connecting the
It
vertices?
makes a 90
I
degree
think we
angle.
should
Oh
make
my
that
god.
line. I think it's a good idea to make that line.
Go ahead. I agree with you. It's a good line.
That line is
triangle.
radical 2. It's 2 times
Same
radical 2.
line.
Create similar triangles. I'll give it some more color.
It creates right triangles.
Wait, I know
Exactly,
that
which is what it said on that textbook.
Whoa!
How could we prove that they're right?
I didn't subscribe to it. Okay.
I know that you're saying they look right, but how can we prove that they're right?
they're wrong.
Perpendicular lines.
How do we know the lines are perpendicular?
Yeah.
Okay.
Don't.
So what you could
But I think they are.
wait. Okay.
But I want them to be.
Okay. So A, B, C, D is a triangle. B, C
Because, like,
is the proof, right?
that point is the same distance from that other
So,
point.
this-
I can prove it.
is still equal to itself, right?
So, okay.
Which
I'm
would
just
you like?
gonna say it.
Well, you got to explain it and make sure that it lands for both of them.
Okay, well, this is a
Turn
straight
the
line.
textbook around at me.
This is a straight line between these 2 points. So that's that, and then we know this bisects this angle, which means it would also bisect this line, meaning these lines are perpendicular.
So if you're gonna draw, don't make it look worse than it does. The point of drawing is to make it look better to help us.
Bisect? Where's
So
the bisect?
use some colors. Like speak, like green, yellow, like speak in colors.
So red.
It's already there, Jake.
Could have left it green, but okay.
Okay. Alright. Green is a straight line between this point here and this point here.
Can you label the points?
Oh my god.
This is what I mean. Where is the off switch? Let Jake explain.
Okay, between point smiley face and point star.
Go ahead. So it's a straight line.
Alright.
So it has all of the characteristics of a straight line.
Great.
Alright, and then this line is a bisector of these angles.
Between frowny face and black hole.
Okay.
So yeah, frowny face.
You know, the opposite
And
of
circle.
smiley face and
Circle. Okay.
black hole.
So
Star
it
collapse.
bisects these angles, which means it also bisects this line.
Oh, because
So which means the lines are perpendicular, which means
Wait, is that Higgs theorem?
these are right angles.
Wait, how does bisecting and
wait.
make the lines perpendicular?
Yeah, that's what
my
I.
question.
How did we
Okay,
jump to perpendicular?
Oh yeah.
So, ow.
Throw.
Caught that. Okay, so Jake,
By the way,
say
Connor, I really like that shirt.
Thanks.
I just couldn't let you leave without saying that.
Say I have mine.
Hey, hit back a couple times so we get
Yeah,
rid of
yeah,
those
yeah.
assumed right angles. A couple more times. There we go. There we
You
go.
know what happens when
I got it. I got it. I
Hold
got
on,
it.
hold on. Give Connor a moment.
You got this line.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. And you
What
can
is-
bisect it like that. Oh.
Wow, you just stole my thunder.
Oh, wow, wow, thunder. Wow.
Okay.
Here's the thing you're jumping over.
It's like-
Unless you can tell me right now, because we're running out of time. You have everything you need to prove that they are perpendicular.
I got it. I don't need a pencil. It bisects the line, so it's got to bisect that angle.
I don't know why you guys keep talking about bisecting.
Because it's important.
No, it's not.
No.
Because half of 180 is 90. And if it bisects... Oh, no.
Wait.
Wait,
Wait,
CPC.
What triangles?
All of them.
May I? I don't know where the other pen is up there, but what's this? Side or angle?
Side.
What's this?
Angle.
Oh my gosh, that's what I was thinking.
Side.
I didn't say anything.
Sass.
Which we've been showing all throughout class.
So with side angle side,
Congruent.
can I prove that these triangles are congruent?
Yeah.
And since those triangles are congruent,
Those two thingies are congruent.
these two angles will have to equal each other.
And they have to equal 180 because it's a line.
And they must be a linear pair because we drew that straight line. So two angles that must be equal and must be linear must be 90.
Whoa.
That's cool.
Or 180 if they're both equal and separately.
So similarly, see what I did there? Similarly. Sorry, it wasn't funny. But so here and here, do we have congruent triangles?
Sure.
Yeah, because
Why
side,
not?
angle, side again, right? Because they share this side. These we know are congruent. We know these angles are equal to each other because we already said that.
Or you could use vertical angles. Like,
Well, yeah, now we could use vertical here. Yeah, you are right. Once we prove this, then we could use vertical. So, what you're going to be asked to do is not make a helicopter with a shapes template. It is going to be you being able to write through step by step. Hey, this is where I actually care if you're listening. You can't leap. You can't jump over stating this is blah, 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 which means this is blah, 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 which means that you cannot do the because I said so. You cannot do the it looks like it. You have to go through it step by step. Okay, proof is at the basis of like all mathematical arguments, is laying out this, boom, done. Physics is what you're experiencing right now. One more. At least one more, I believe. So, just to make sure we understand terminology, conjecture is what we feel. What it looks like, what we think, that's all conjecture. Which when somebody says, oh, well, that's just conjecture, means, well, that's not necessarily true. Once you prove it, Jake, you got to stop for like the last 3 minutes of class. I know, but I can't talk. I'm distracted by you. It is not a you thing, it's a me thing. You got to stop. Once we prove it, what's it called?
Proof. Or theorem.
A theorem,
I'm better than
which is
you.
very confusing for most people because they think theorem means theory.
But theory is backed by evidence.
A theorem is something that's proven to be true. Which actually,
Corollary
we'll get there. I only know this because I was watching Ben's Woodshop show. Do you guys ever watch Hometown?
Wait, what
Ben from Hometown. That's why I'm trying to see if you guys watch.
Oh, that.
Yeah, maybe I'll show it to you tomorrow. Danica McKellar was on one of their recent episodes, and she actually just proved something that had not been proven before.
Whoa, how?
Does she get a lot of money for that?
They won something. I forget exactly what they won. All right, so kites. We know all that stuff, right? Boom. Moving on because they're two congruent triangles when they start. Something that is not made of two congruent triangles. Draw a right trapezoid on your paper.
Oh.
But what if it wants to be black?
It can be wrong if it wants to. It just needs to have a 90-degree angle.
There's trapezoid stuff on here too. Look at that.
Awesome. A trapezoid is just a rectangle with a slanty side, right?
A rectangle with a slant.
Basically.
It's like if you took a rectangle and then
You guys go first today.
Do we need Thomas or Hall?
Yeah.
Did I do it? Yeah, I'm doing it.
No, I do it just so actually. That's good to do.
We can just use the same one from last time. It's true.
It's true.
He says that all the time now.
It's true.
So, if we're going to write a conjecture, here, so if then, right? We want to be as accurate as possible, which probably means as non-specific as possible. And here's what I mean. If I say a shape with four sides is a rectangle, is that true? Not necessarily, right? If a shape has four sides, then it is a rectangle. That is not necessarily true. It can be true. So if we say, if a shape has two consecutive right angles, then is it a rectangle?
Yeah.
No.
Oh, no.
Because
Look at this shape right there.
now, hold on. I'm missing a lot of things to get to, like, not even if I'm trying to get to rectangle, but if a shape, let's be more specific than that. If we're going to write an if then,
Quadrilateral.
if a quadrilateral, so there we go, better to be more specific in the if, right? If a quadrilateral has two consecutive right angles, then what can we actually put there that we can prove to be true? Okay. What else? Like, so it having two parallel sides.
Its other two angles have to equal 180 degrees.
Okay. Is there a name for this? Like, has math already dealt with this?
Probably.
Like, math's kind of old. I'm not that old.
what sort of shape has two parallel sides? Well, obviously a parallelogram, but that needs two sets of two parallel sides, so we can't use parallelogram.
Kite.
Nope, kite has no parallel sides.
2 lines.
2 lines?
Yeah.
That's not a shape.
Why not?
A what? No, because trapezoid always has the bottom and the top of the trap, right? That have to be parallel to each other. So, if a quadrilateral has 2 consecutive right angles, then it is a trapezoid.
It's a right trapezoid.
Then it is a right
Is
trapezoid.
it a rectangle or right trapezoid?
Yes.
Is a right trapezoid a rectangle?
No.
But that was
Always.
I don't know if you technically deserve
Yeah, we
these.
definitely don't, but I don't really care.
I deserve no more work. Yeah.
Here's what we proved today.
Thank you. Then I also proved you.
We're gonna use these, so don't lose these. We're gonna put converse statements on here.
Oh, look at that.
Jake, Connor, don't lose these. We're gonna write on them. Well, when I'm talking and they're talking to each other. Don't
I
lose
heard you
these.
say Converse shoes.
Yes, Converse shoes, all
We're
stars.
gonna get Converse shoes.
No, because they hurt my feet. Because I'm old.
Dude, Converse shoes just seem inefficient.
I am now with the drawing.
Like, why wouldn't you get running shoes? You're gonna.
This is a really awesome looking shoe.
Oh my goodness. It has a congruent angle. It's a shoe for victory.
Bye, thank you.
You gotta go to the cafeteria first. I mean, you can drop your stuff here, but you gotta go get a seat in the cafeteria. Okay. Well, I didn't know if the teachers already announced it to you guys or not.
Do we have any homework tonight? Because I'm not able to work on homework, and I figured I'd work on it in math